You ever see someone do something so incredibly dangerous that you just have to ask yourself, why? What is it that pushes a person to the absolute edge, to literally stare death in the face and, well, smile? Today, we're diving into the science behind that push. It's all about a powerful and honestly a really misunderstood chemical in our brains that drives everything we do. I mean, just listen to this quote. "You are playing with death then, and it feels so good." That's from Dean Potter, a guy who basically pioneered some of the most extreme sports out there. He wasn't just, flirting with danger. He was all in. And that feeling he's talking about, that so good feeling, that's exactly what we're here to unpack.
So that's the big question, right? What on earth is powerful enough to make a risk like that worth taking? To make playing with death feel good? Well, the answer, it turns out, is buried deep inside our own brains.
Okay, so to really get this, we've got to step into their world for a second, a world where the stakes couldn't be higher. And when I say the stakes are high, I am not kidding. Just look at these numbers. For base jumping, we're talking about 1 death for every 60 participants. That is just staggering. Now compare that to something like skydiving, which most of us think is pretty risky, right? That's 1 in 100,000 jumps. It's not even in the same ballpark. We're talking about a completely different level of danger. And it's not just about surviving either. Take a guy like Dan Osman. He used to race up 400-foot cliffs with no ropes in just a few minutes. For him, it wasn't even about getting to the top. He said he loved falling. It was about mastering his own fear. This is something way deeper than just an adrenaline rush. It's about conquering what's going on inside your own head. All right, so we've seen what they're doing. Now let's get to the why. What's the engine in the brain that's driving all this? And here's our culprit. Dopamine. Now, I bet you've heard it called the pleasure molecule. Well, I'm here to tell you that's one of the biggest misunderstandings in all of neuroscience. Dopamine isn't really about feeling good. It's about the drive to get the thing that will make you feel good. It's your brain's little alarm system screaming, "Hey, pay attention. That's important. Go get it." And the system it uses is pretty straightforward. Think of it as a simple go signal. First, a part of your brain, the VTA, spots a cue. This could be anything. The smell of baking cookies, a notification on your phone, or the top of a cliff. That cue triggers a flood of dopamine. That dopamine then zips over to another part of your brain, the nucleus accumbens, and bam, that's it. That's the feeling of wanting. That's the craving. And we know just how crucial this whole system is by looking at what happens when it breaks. When it goes wrong, the results can be devastating. Too little dopamine, that's a key part of what's happening in Parkinson's disease. But too much, or when the system just goes haywire, that's linked to things like schizophrenia and, of course, addiction. So this thing is a really finely tuned engine in our heads. This brings us to a really, really important idea, one that explains so much about us. It's the difference between wanting something and actually liking it. And trust me, they are not the same thing. Think of it like this. Wanting is the chase. It's that urge, that craving to go after something. That's dopamine's job. But liking? That's the actual pleasure you get when you achieve the goal. That's run by a totally different set of chemicals, like opioids. So you've got the pursuit, which is dopamine, and then you have the reward, which is something else entirely. And this is the secret to understanding our extreme athletes. Their dopamine system is generating this massive wanting signal, this powerful drive to chase the risk. But the actual experience? It might be terrifying. It's not always fun in the traditional sense. The wanting and the liking have become uncoupled. The drive is the drug. Okay, so right now you're probably thinking, this is all very interesting, but I'm not about to jump off a cliff. Fair enough. But here's the kicker. This exact same brain circuit is running your life every single day. Just listen to Dr. Anna Lembke. She says we're seeing a huge explosion in what she calls minor addictions. Why? Because our modern world is basically a minefield of dopamine triggers, and we're just walking right through it. And it's not just the obvious stuff. Yeah, drugs and gambling hit this system hard, but so does shopping, so does social media, so does that high-sugar snack you're craving. Your brain's reward pathway, it doesn't know the difference. A cue is a cue, and it responds the same way every time, with a shot of dopamine that says go, go, go. So what does this all mean? Are we just helpless puppets of our own brain chemistry? Well, no, not at all. The goal isn't to get rid of this system. We need it. The key is to understand it and maybe even learn how to steer it. Let's go back to those expert climbers for a second.
They aren't just blindly following an impulse. The best ones are masters of discipline. They take that raw, powerful drive, that dopamine hit, and they channel it. They pour it into thousands of hours of practice. They turn what looks like a death wish into a focused, powerful life wish. It's about harnessing the impulse, not just being controlled by it. So at the end of the day, this system is what makes us us. It drives us to explore, to create, to achieve incredible things. It is the engine of our ambition. The real question then isn't whether the system is good or bad. The question is for you. The reward system drives us to achieve the incredible. So how do you direct yours?